pump is my transport.
That's a nice opening. That was a short that my wife posted on her channel, Pursuits of PU. You can click through, subscribe, click like on all of her videos. You know how it goes. That's a much better opening to this episode than the one I was originally planning to use.
I think what we need to do, Trinity Broadcasting Network's doing it with the fundamentalists. I'm saying that we've got to have different shows for different levels of people. Like there ought to be a channel where you can see a lot of Robert Bly and you can see Thomas Keating, but you can also see somebody who's a comedian, perhaps, who's got a blown-out sense of humor, even an R-rated sense of humor, who is aiming people at something constructive. You could do that by narrowcasting on television. I think using television, I think having programming, a lot less network programming, a lot less bulk and crest, and a lot more narrowcasting.
Narrowcasting.
Narrowcasting means Andrew de Pisano, my Tantric Buddhist teacher, is on a cable channel over on the west side.
Uh-huh.
He's got a program. People watch that. What we've got to do is bring some of that narrowcasting, not necessarily on Tantric Buddhism, but on the issues of affective education, and programming which positively reinforces affective education.
I mean, sure, it's like, oh, that's interesting. What was that? Okay, well, that was from the interview that Kes Fry did with my dad on Thursday, July 25th, 1990. 6th, Thursday, July 26th, 1990. Yeah, well, anyway, it's interesting because it was 1990, before the internet got going as a thing in public consciousness with the AOL free 20 hours CD-ROMs. Anyone remember those? And anyway, yeah, you can see how, while, I'm not doing content on affective education, whatever that is. I do have occasionally an R-rated sense of humor in the things I do talk about, and it is very narrow. It is definitely not a broad thing. I get these spam things from the YouTube AI bot and from other AI bots and from random search engine optimization specialists who are trying to sell me their services, letting me know, oh, well, if you want to appeal to a massive amount of people, then you have to be just like that fucking guy, Mr. Beast or whatever. You have to talk about things that are current and, inflammatory or whatever the fuck people do to try to get as many hits as possible. That's why I sincerely am the opposite of that. You may see, it may sound like copium when I say that I'm proud of the fact that these videos rarely ever break 100 views. When it goes over 100 views, I'm like, that was a mistake. Don't ever make an episode like that again. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, you heard what they were saying. Basically, earlier in that same interview, my dad kind of went on and on and on about the negative impact that he perceives, sort of TV for the masses as having on a lot of people, and thought that one solution to that, counterintuitively, would be to use television. And of course, back then, again, computer screens weren't equated on the same level that they are today with TV screens. And so it's interesting to observe that little time capsule in time, whatever. The time capsule of that moment in 1990 and how he was thinking about narrowcasting and how his teacher had a show on a cable channel or something. For some reason, I remember that being cable access, which is like the, that Channel 3, whatever, that anyone could hack into. That I think the premise behind Wayne's World was that they were a cable access show. So anyway, All right, so, this is, welcome back. This is Chicken Philosophy, the Meccan Revelations, part 38, in which I will continue reading the Meccan Revelations. And, sometimes this gets really good. The last couple have been kind of so that also influenced my decision to put stuff at the beginning of this, to try to, so that, okay, let's jump right into it. I mean, sometimes it's good. Maybe today it'll be good. I hope so. But we'll put a little bit more of a buffer in between then and now. So this fucking guy, sometimes I like to tell you about the deleted comments. I'm not a person, for those who, don't watch everything. I'm not a person who... The comments, I have to approve the comments. I click, yes, you can do this. It's pretty much either approve or hide commenter. So when, a person has one chance, and if they fail, then they can never comment again. Just because, for my peace of mind, mostly. So this guy who failed, he swung and missed. I don't remember his name, but he came on the Nag Hammadi Part 4, the one with the thumbnail that looks like this. And he said, is this what the future of homosexuals in religion looks like? I'm like, what the fuck? And he said some other dumb shit, and then he said, I will pray that this is not what the future of homosexuals in religion looks like. I think because of the many colors, and the use of purple and maybe just my face, I don't know. I think he thinks that this is a gay cross or something, which it's not. This predates the pride flag. I would just like to go on record here and say, I'm not against, this flag. I think it's great. Yeah, sure. Good. I mean, pride in general isn't great, but there's a context, there's a particular meaning that, people used to and still do in a lot of states and a lot of countries get beaten to death and worse. Well, yeah, you can't get much worse than that. But, they get persecuted just for the fact that they were born with a predisposition to be attracted to the same gender as their own. Usually it's men that are persecuted, but, not to say that women aren't, but I won't go there. Anyway, the point is this, it means gay pride. This, let's put it up large, this does not. This means Hermetic Kabbalah. This means, Golden Dawn style magic. This means the 22 of the 32 paths of the Sefer Yetzirah. This means the serpent Nehushtan reaching up toward the veils of negative existence, having come from Malkut. This means, a number of things. And this means Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon, and also, you can't have the rainbow. You can't have the whole rainbow. I've long been I can't reach it from where I am. I'm going to do it anyway. Fuck it. While I'm doing this, here's a painting I did when I was, 19 and heterosexual. It doesn't matter, as a side note. Here's a painting I did much more recently that became the basis of the cover of this book that I co-wrote. Joe wrote one chapter with my friend Joe Zabinski. You can see it here. Rainbows. Anybody who's taken psychedelics especially are going to have a special relationship with the rainbow that has nothing to do with sexual preference. So, anyway, and also the chicken wheel has a lot of colors on it. But again, this is not the same as this. Okay? That's that's my 2 cents on the subject, for whatever it's worth. Yeah, okay. All of that to fill time while I was lighting the incense, and just, I don't know, for your amusement, these things happen. And all right, the mule got drunk and lost in heaven, we've already read. The earth braces itself. So we're going to do, this is Hafiz bibliomancy. Hafiz is different from Ibn Arabi. They're both Sufis, but Hafiz is from Iran, and Ibn Arabi, who wrote Meccan Revelations, is from what we now call Spain, and he settled in Damascus, which we now call Damascus. It's in Syria. Anyway, so Hafiz from Iran, Persia, in the 1300s wrote this: "The earth braces itself. The earth braces itself for the feet of a lover of God about to dance." You're into that too? I'm sorry. The sky becomes very timid when a great saint starts waving his arms in joy. For the sky knows its prized fixtures, the sun, moon, and planets, could all wind up rolling so wild on the floor. My dear, this world, its laws, our perceptions, are such a minute part of existence. Should not all of our suffering and sadness be like this, as just dropped from an infant's palm that is asleep against the breast of God? The earth braces itself for the feet of Hafiz. The sky pulls a mirror from its pocket and is practicing looking coy. For the beloved has at last opened his arms and is inviting my heart to eternally dance. The day candle, sun, has forgotten the hour. The whole world has gone joyously mad. Look, the sun's sweet cheeks are blushing in the middle of the night, desiring the rampage of the feet of God's lovers. All right. I think we're in the mood. All right. Let's get to some Sufi. This is about approximately 200 years before that. And this is kind of, generally speaking, more cerebral, I'd say. Where that's more poetic and, let's say, emotional. I think I stopped in the middle of something last time. So hopefully those of you who are keeping up remember kind of what we were talking about. Let me just remember the chapter heading. This is called The True Knowledge of Unworthy Utterances. Ah, yes, I remember now. Okay. All right. Then Jesus said, quote, "And safety be upon," and salam, peace, "and peace be upon me the day I was born," end quote. Quran 1934. "When I spoke to you about the fact that I am God's servant, and thus was safe from the attribution of my existence to fornication or marriage." Quote, "And the day I die," end quote, Quran 34:34. and I become safe from the slaying that will be attributed to me by those who think that they slew me. This refers to the words of the children of Yisrael. Quote, we slew the Messiah, Jesus, son of Mary, end quote. Rude. Actually, technically, it was Pontius Pilate. And the whole thing about, the Jews killed him, that's Roman propaganda. That apparently Muhammad just sucked right up and stuck in the Quran. Blessed be he. Whatever. Anyway, I'll just keep reading. And I die, and I become safe from the slaying. That will be, yes, okay. God declared them liars with his words. Quote, they did not slay him, neither crucified him, but it seemed so to them. Oh. Wait, so in the Quran, God says the children of Israel did not slay Jesus. Oh, because he didn't die. They thought they killed him, but he didn't die. Right. Whatever. I'll keep reading. End quote. Quran 4:156. So Jesus said to them that safety was upon them. Salam, meaning peace. I guess that also means safety, according to this book. The translators, was upon him the day that he died, safe from being slain. Okay, in this context. If he had been slain, he would have been slain in martyrdom, and the martyr is alive, not dead, just as we have been prohibited from saying that. A commandment still remains, bracket parentheses, in effect, and bracket parentheses. So Jesus gave news that he died and was not slain, since he mentioned safety upon him on the day he died. All right. I'm pretty sure the Nicene Creed would consider this heretical. Anyway. Then he mentioned that safety is upon him on the day that he is raised up alive, Quran 19:34, i.e. as at the resurrection, which is the abode of safety for those who are free of every evil, like the prophets and other people of grace. So he was resurrected? Or are they talking about the greater resurrection when everybody is raised up at the last judgment? I don't know. I'll keep reading. They are free of every evil, like the prophets and other people of grace. So Jesus possesses safety in all these places, nor is there a third abode. There is only life in this world and life in the next. And between the two, death. All these, bracket parentheses, words of Jesus, and bracket parentheses, if they had not derived from the divine command with a capital D and a capital C, like the D and C in Washington, D.C. Sorry. Divine command would have been unruly utterances on the part of their speaker, for they are words that show his degree with God by way of boasting of it before his equals and likes. But far be it from the folk of Allah to distinguish themselves from their likes or to boast. Hence, unruly utterances are a frivolity of the self. They never issue from a verifier, for he has no object of contemplation but his Lord, and he does not boast before his Lord, nor does he make claims. On the contrary, he clings to his own servitude, ready for the commands that come to him. He hastens to obey them. And he looks upon everything in engendered existence in this matter. So if he makes an unruly utterance, he has been veiled from that for which he has been created and is ignorant of himself and his Lord, even if he possesses every power that he claims, so that he gives life and death and appoints and dismisses, still he has no bracket parentheses special and bracket parentheses place with God. On the contrary, he is like a purgative or a costive medicine. He acts by the specific characteristic of his state, not by his position with God, just as a sorcerer acts by the specific characteristic of his art for the eyes of the beholders. He snatches their eyes away from seeing the truth in what they see. Everyone who makes an unruly utterance does so out of forgetfulness. We have never seen nor heard of a saint from whom an unruly utterance has issued because of the frivolity of the self while he was a saint of God, except that he demonstrated his poverty, became abased, and returned to his original state, so that the vainglory which assailed him disappeared. Such is the situation of unruly utterances if they are justified, when they are still blameworthy. So what if they should issue from a liar? If it is asked, how can he be a liar in an unruly utterance if he displays acts and effects? We reply, how excellent a question! As for the answer, the folk of Allah, if they are folk of Allah, produce effects only through veracious (spiritual) and states. They name this (effect when expressed verbally and (an unruly utterance). Speaking of unruly utterance, we hear this thing outside making unruly utterances. Me too. If it is not connected to a divine command that commands it, as it is realized. Okay, let's. Editor Edward, could you cut to when the dog stops barking? Allah hasbi rabbi jallallah ma fi qalbi ghayrullah nur Muhammad sallallahu la ilaha illallah. All right. Right. The properties, the name, the liars. What are we talking about? If they are folk of, and so on, produce effects only through veracious (spiritual) and states. They name this (effect when expressed verbally and an unruly utterance if it is not connected to a divine command that commands it, as is realized in the case of the prophets. But there are people who know the specific properties of the divine and names, through which they display marvelous effects and correct influences. But a person like this never says, quote, "This takes place through some names that I know," end quote. He makes it appear to those present that it derives from the strength of his state, his position with God, and true sanctity. Like that time Moses struck the rock and said, "There, I have given you water." Fucked up there, Moses. Moshe, I should say. Blessed be he. Sorry. But he is a liar in all that. This is not called an unruly utterance, nor is its owner said to possess such a thing. On the contrary, this is sheer and hateful falsehood. So unruly utterances are true words that issue from the frivolity of a self that still possesses the remnants of nature. They testify that their possessor is distant from God in that state, and this much is sufficient concerning the state of the true knowledge of unruly utterances. The next chapter that I think Gwydion will read next time on part 39 is called On Withdrawal. And we can hope that this is either about the symptoms that one gets when they quit a substance that they're addicted to, or a not the greatest effective method of contraception. Yeah, okay. we finished the section, and I didn't want to start a whole new section and then stop in the middle of that section. And I don't know, maybe the next one will be... Yeah, this was fine. It was kind of interesting in parts. I don't know. The intro to the episode was fun here and there, a little bit. The poem was nice about the divine foot fetish and all that. So, there it is. That's the episode. There it was. I hope the music was good. And we didn't bug Editor Edward today. So that's nice. And what else? Is there anything else? No, not really. All right. I hope that you have a wonderful day. And next time, it's going to be Edward reciting Carl Jung's Black Books. That'll be part 61, I think, of Carl Jung's Black Books. Black Books, the longest running series here on Chicken Philosophy, the beginning of Chicken Philosophy. In fact, the sole purpose originally of Chicken Philosophy was to be the place where I read Carl Jung's Black Books. And then at a certain point I was like, wouldn't it be weird if I read the Arbatel on here? And then I was like, I should read Meccan Revelation on here because the anti-Islamic sentiment is heating up on account of things going on in the Middle East again. And then I was like, and I want to read Teilhard de Chardin because I've been meaning to read that for more than half my life and I just haven't gotten around to it. And then for some reason I was like, let's read Martin Luther. And then Sigurd of the Golden Flower came along and made it a nice... You were there. Maybe you were there. I don't know. Now I've made this episode a little bit less short just by rambling. There's the dog again. The dog says it's time for me to close the episode. It was nice this morning. We woke up and it was cloudy, and then I think I remembered it raining early in the morning, and so we decided, rather than our usual routine, which is like exercise and fruit bowl, we jumped in the car and went for a drive. That was that short you saw at the beginning of this episode. And the breakfast, we had breakfast afterward, which was the end of the short you saw at the beginning from my wife's channel. Until next time.